Hi, I am Aneesah Allen, and the company that we are here to talk to you all about today is CauseEDU.
And hi, everyone. My name is Shironda White. I'm founder and CEO of CauseEDU. And this is a platform that helps students and their families to better understand the true cost of college and develop sound strategies to pay for it.
Hi, ladies. You know what? You guys are my first interview conversation that I don't know you. Everyone that I've spoken to, I know. I've picked from all over the world that I've traveled, I've seen, I have relationships with. And so I'm excited because I saw you guys pitch and when I say I was like, oh my God, they're so good. They're so good. I was just education is so close to my heart. I used to be a teacher. A lot of people that know me don't know that, but I started my career as a 2nd and 6th grade teacher in the Brockton and Sharon school system. I love, love, love teaching. Teachers are disregarded. I think that now people are realizing how much teachers are the best. And they really need to take some time to really focus on the fact that teachers need to get paid more. But when you guys started talking, I just resonated so well. So I wanted to find out I wanted to find out, who are you guys? Like, who are you? Where did you come from? How did you get together? And how did this company start?
So we actually met in 1996 as freshmen at Spelman College. And Aneesah has been very much just like, this staunch advocate for students and helping them with paying for college. And so initially she was doing crowdfunding to help students stay in school. And I just started tagging along, to be honest. And I thought, this is really amazing. I just want to help. And so I started tagging along. And then at some point during business school, I just called her and said, you know what? In order to scale, we should turn this into a business. And she said, okay. And that's what we did. That's how we got started. In 2017, in December, we launched CauseEDU. We launched our own platform. And initially it was a crowdfunding platform to help students with fundraising. We made it easier for students to raise money for school by making it easier for donors to give. And so we took the GoFundMe model and just made it so much better with mandatory enrollment verification, multiple giving options for donors. That was really how we started. And then we pivoted, and now we're doing so much more.
All right, so I definitely want to hear a little bit more, but I want to go back to the crowdfunding. So most people are not aware what crowdfunding is. The average person has no idea what that is. So can you break it down so that way people understand what that means and how that intertwines in working with students?
Okay. Aneesah, do you want to take this one?
Yes. So crowdfunding, what's the best way to say this? Crowdfunding is, of course, taking donations from various people for various different causes. I'm sure one of the major crowdfunding platforms is GoFundMe. Everybody kind of knows about that one. If you have a cause, you have something that you're trying to work towards, you get family, friends, even strangers to help with your cause. And so, like Shironda was saying, I'll piggyback on what she was saying earlier. I started doing crowdfunding platform for 2 students at Spelman College. We met in '96 at Spelman, and unfortunately, I was not able to continue at Spelman due to financial hardship. And so that, of course, always tugged at my heartstrings, and some people reached out, and there were 2 students there that needed assistance. And so, yes, I started with crowdfunding, the GoFundMe, coming up with different little campaigns. If I can get 100 people to give me $20, that she'll meet her goal, But we ran into a lot of various different issues. And Shironda was helping me throughout that time. PayPal, GoFundMe, they had certain restrictions that were limiting us. And so it just wasn't working out. I remember at one point, Shironda, you can back me up on this, I actually had to give the money back to the donors and we had to start all the way back over again. So Shironda reached out to me in 2017, like she said, and said, hey, we were doing something real good there. Let's try to see if we can make it into something a little bit better. And some hiccups that we kind of came across before, let's see if we can kind of iron those out, which is what we did. Crowdfunding is helpful for students. Of course, if they're ambitious and they're determined to actually go out and campaign and get the money. But right now, like she said, we are trying to pivot and we're going more into financial literacy, trying to help them, look at, I guess you can say, the bigger picture, the bigger financial landscape before they even venture off into whatever respective college they want to go to. So that's where we're at right now.
I think it's interesting that you just added that conversation of the financial literacy, because religion, politics, financials are the three things, and you guys already, before I even say it, you guys are like, three things that people don't talk about or are told not to talk about. And it's something that people need to talk about, especially, I mean, like they need to talk about it. Financial, for a lot of students, they go in, those credit card companies are allowed to come into the schools. They're like, ooh, a bag of M&M, I'm gonna sign up and I'm gonna get a credit card. And they don't know what they're getting into. The student loans, they just sign away. So what are you doing in regard to now? The individual is like, this is a school for their choices. They know that price is really high. They're not going to get a lot of financial backing. They don't play a sport. They don't have a scholarship because of the grades, something that restricts them. So they are getting that process of the financial, the crowdfunding, but then they're overwhelmed with this. So are you teaching them how much do you really need? What do you do? I mean, like what's that whole entire financial literacy look like for an 18-year-old?
That's a great question. We actually start from the very beginning. So you mentioned, religion and politics and money, people don't talk about it. It's even worse when it comes to parents and talking to their children about money. They don't do that at all. And so what happens is the student is getting ready to apply to college, and then all of a sudden the parent is saying, you know what, we don't make enough money, or our credit isn't good enough for us to apply for a PLUS loan. We don't want those conversations to come up in January and February of your senior year when you're getting ready to go to college. And so we developed a curriculum. It's called the CauseEDU Academy. And what it does is it walks families through the entire college funding process. But our very first session talks to families about difficult conversations. And it's talking to them about, number one, really sitting down, whether it's one parent or two or guardian or whoever, and thinking through what your philosophy is on paying for school. Some people think, well, I didn't have any help from my parents, my kids are on their own. Or I didn't have help from my parents, so I'm going to make sure my kids have everything they need, or some variation. And so really thinking through what your philosophy is on paying for school. And number two, helping you to have conversations with your child, whether it's, if you major in art, I'm not going to pay for it, for instance. We had a parent that said that. And the student didn't know until senior year in high school, and then it's too late, right? And so are there certain things that you're willing to pay for, certain majors? Are you paying for just undergrad or graduate school too? If you have more than one child, are they getting the same amount of money towards school, or does it depend on what their GPA is and how much effort they put into it in high school? So all of the different things that parents need to think about, number one, and number two, have those conversations with their child. That is our very first session. And then we start talking about how much should you actually expect to pay for college. A lot of parents get tripped up by sticker price. So they think this college is $70,000, this college is $20,000, the $20,000 college is cheaper. That might not be the case. And so we talk to parents about, or families, parents and students, about how to figure out how much college is actually going to cost you. Not the sticker price, not the cost of attendance on the school's website, but number one, what do you want your experience to be? So we walk you step by step. It's kind of like a TurboTax. We ask you all the questions to find the hidden costs. So if you're saying you want to do a study abroad program, if you're saying you want to do, you want to network, you want to go to different conferences, those things are not included in the cost of attendance at the school. So when I went to BU, they're saying it's $71,000 or $76,000 for 1 year. It was like 91 for me because you add in all the other things that seem like they're optional, but they're really not. Like you have to network if you want a job. You have to go to conferences for the job fairs if you want a job, and that adds thousands of dollars on. And so we walk you through what you want your experience to be. We put a price tag on everything. We include a 3% increase per year because tuition and fees go up every year. And then we tell you year by year how much you should expect to spend, how much you say you have, what the difference is, and then how to cover the gap. We walk you through it all. And the way our curriculum is structured, we have pre-work before every session. It's a 6-week program. Pre-work first. Then you have, if you're doing the cohort, it's a live session, or Zoom now. But if you're doing the self-paced, then it's just a video. And then after that, you have homework. And at the end of the 6 weeks, you have an action plan that has the schools that you're planning to apply to, the financial profile for each school, how much it's going to cost you, how much the gap is, and how to cover the gap. We also cover financial aid negotiations.
Fantastic. What are you doing with I should say before I ask that, what's the success rate for the students that get so excited, they hear about this program, the parents were like, okay, we need this, and then life gets in their way. So what's the success rate for this program when life gets in the way?
That's a great question. So when we look at success rate, it's really for us about understanding the costs. Now, success rate for us would be looking at when you enter and then when you graduate. What are the percentages of students who graduate versus students who drop out because of money? And because we're not 4 years into this, we don't know yet. Just to be honest, we just launched in 2020 with the CauseEDU Financial Academy. And so we won't know until 2024 how many actually graduate versus the normal population. But success to us is not just students saying, okay, this is the school that is the best fit financially, because there are other college funding consultants that solely rely on what is the best fit financially. And that's how you end up with a student at some school in some location that they really shouldn't be at, and then they don't graduate for other reasons. They don't have support, et cetera. And so we look at finding the best fit financially, but also the best fit culturally. So we have that extra component. So if you're, for instance, a student from a certain demographic, and the chances of you graduating at this school, even though it's almost a free school, a free ride for you, that still might not be the best school, because if you don't graduate, it's not beneficial to you, right? And so success to us looks like the students who start our program get into the school that's the best fit for them financially and otherwise, and graduate from that school. That is success to us.
Beautiful. I love it. You're still an educator, correct?
I am with a TRIO program here at a local college in Atlanta. It's all my stuff behind me. Yes.
A large university. She's so modest.
Very large university. What are you finding, or what are you hearing that are the biggest pain points with your students, and how would this program work for them? I'm assuming that you could use students that you're seeing every day. Well, not right now, every day, like live, but you can use them as a focus group. So what were their biggest pain points when they were first coming into applying for school, figuring out what school is the best? Kids that actually had to transfer because of something. Like, what's the biggest pain point that you hear over and over again that you input into your organization right now?
So I have been working in, I want to call it educational access, for the last 8 years. So what I have done over the last 8 years is a number of students, similar to what Shironda said, they're not preparing freshman year, maybe even junior high school. You know what I mean? Middle school. They're not preparing at all. So what I see is a lot of, just right now, have another group of students, class of 2021. Now, all of a sudden, they want to talk about, hey, Miss Allen, can we talk about, I want to go to Spelman. I got one student, I want to go to Morehouse. I want to go to UGA. Okay, freshman year, we've been looking at UGA, Morehouse, Spelman. What do they require? What do they want from you? How much is it going to cost? So right now, what I'm seeing a lot of, like I said, senior year, sometimes even passing year, spring semester, senior year. It's a lot of, she wants to go to the University of North Carolina Tar Heels because she thought it was, can we look into how that, then that's when the parents start looking at the price of it, or they start looking at the culture of it and things of that nature. So I have been able to use some of my students with CauseEDU to kind of, like, hey, let's see, and get them prepared, showing them the bigger picture. Like Shironda said, it's not just about finances, it's about culture too. I've had a number of students who have received tuition-free scholarships to schools, but yes, they're a minority. And so their experience, they finished, but if you talk to them, it wasn't the most joyous experience. You know what I mean? So now it's important to show them that, hey, look at the culture there. Are you going to be supported? Are there programs there that are going to support you, financially, socially, with your religion, things of that nature. And then also, looking at the economics of it all.
The pandemic caught everyone by surprise. In January, I was in Morocco. February, I was here working. March, I was in Mexico working. And then all of a sudden I'm in Mexico and they're like, what's going on with the toilet paper? I'm like, it's just probably a hoax, no big deal. And literally I got back home a week before the borders in Mexico were closed. I'm watching all my students that were my interns in the fall, and I'm seeing, when I tell you influx of students applying for internships was crazy. I did 95 interviews for students that got their internships pulled or couldn't find internships. What has all of this done for you? Because I'm watching the students and they're freaking out on our end here. We're a small marketing firm that we're trying to work really hard, and internships, that's how I started my career. You guys are directly inside. There are reports that the fall will literally have probably an uptick, and that means that the kids might be going to school only half the time. What are you doing? What are you saying to the parents that are like, do I even want to pay that kind of money? What are you saying to the students like, this is my dream school, should I go, should I not go? And what's happening with the academic side where, how do you justify that price point? There's a lot of questions I just asked there. I'm just throwing in questions, and you guys just talking, I just say nothing.
No, those are a lot of great questions. And so the short answer is it depends, right? It depends on the student. So there are some that are very clear cut. So let's say, for instance, you're a student who is on the wait list for a school. And because there are so many students who are deferring their admission because of the pandemic and they don't want to pay that ridiculous amount of money for what they call Zoom University, now all of a sudden you're at the top and you're accepted to a school that was a reach school that you otherwise would not have been able to get into. You need to go. You need to go. Because here's what happens. You, as a student who was waitlisted, you probably are not going to be allowed to defer. And if you try to apply next year, you might not get in because it's going to be that much harder, because next year you have students from the class of 2021, as usual, as well as students from the class of 2020, who are all going to be trying to access these schools. And so the acceptance rate is more than likely going to be lower next year and higher this year. So if you were that borderline student, or that student who maybe wasn't going to get aid and now you are because other students have dropped off, you absolutely need to go. If you're a student who was planning on going away to school, and let's say, for instance, you eventually want to go to grad school, and then and that's going to be more years of having to pay possibly tuition and taking out student loans and other fees, you have to think of it from a perspective of this first semester, you're not paying for housing, which you would have otherwise, and you're not paying, you might have to pay for parking or other things that you're not paying for. And so if you're not paying tuition, room and board, and you're not paying for parking or other transportation related costs, you're saving a good chunk of money that first semester. If you defer to next year, you're paying all of that. Not only are you paying all of that, and I say defer to next year because most first year freshmen cannot defer to the spring. You can't come in as a second semester freshman at a lot of schools. And so that means you're probably deferring for an entire year. If you try to take classes during that time and then transfer in, a lot of those classes might not transfer. So you might be pushing back your entire academic career by a year, which means that's an additional year that you're not drawing an income. That's an additional year that tuition and fees have gone up before you start taking classes. So it costs you more money to defer and to wait. It's not ideal, but then the question is, if you wait a year, what are you gonna do? You can't go travel, you're not going to be able to work somewhere. We have record unemployment, the highest since the Great Depression. You're not going to be able to get a job. So what's your alternative? And that's really the question. It's not ideal, but what is the alternative?
You want to add anything there?
And I know right now, like I said, with my students, some are in college, some are in high school, just trying to keep them engaged. Same thing Shironda said. Go ahead, look it up, get it over with. You're going to have to, because deferring it is not going to be ideal. And I know a lot of them, I get it. They always pulling at my heartstrings. It's hard. Zoom University is not the easiest thing to do. Some of my students, this was their senior year, so that wasn't ideal. Some people that I know getting ready to go to grad school, they're not excited about it, but it's one of those things. It's kind of adjusting to this new normal. And like I tell my students all the time, you're gonna have to make a grown woman or grown man decision right now. And what's best for you is for you to continue your education, even though it's not ideal. And then I also told them too, this is a great opportunity to use this as a way to brag on yourself. Like I just told some of my seniors, we're gonna get ready to start applying to schools in the fall, right? You better put it on your application that I just finished my junior year through a pandemic with this GPA and was able to overcome X, Y, right? And they're like, oh my God, I didn't think of that. Yes, because a lot of your peers didn't. I can tell you in like some of the local Atlanta public schools or whatever, a lot of the kids, half of them did not complete work. So go ahead and push that out there and use this as an opportunity to brag on yourself or do whatever and seize the moment, so to speak. Yeah.
I have told, when I was like speaking to all the students during the interviews, I told them like, this is a great opportunity because everyone around the world is home. So if you don't have 2 or 3 internships, that's on you because everyone's home and the right company will do virtual internships. They give you one product, or even if they don't, just convince them like, I can do one project, I'm home, I have these talents, and I can nail it. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to a club. I'm not going anywhere. I'm dedicated to you. If you walk out of this and you don't have 2 or 3 internships, or if you don't have great experiences or a brand new skill set that you were self-taught, like, I mean, I'm sorry, you saying that you were watching the Tiger King for me is not, it's not compelling. You need to say that you did something really, really amazing, because now it's the time. You have an abundance of time, so use it very well. How are you able to juggle running a business, and we're in a pandemic, and you're taking care of everybody else, and you're just like, you guys are taking care of everyone else. How are you taking care of yourselves during this time? And what skill sets have you added for you to grow business?
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, both of you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for that. Thank you. That's a nice question. Asking.
No.
Thank you.
I'm open to suggestions, and Aneesah, you can go first, because I don't answer that first part of that question.
Okay, so even before COVID-19 took over our lives, I had already been establishing boundaries and self-care practices or whatever. So I just kind of like elevated them, if that makes sense. So there's more relaxing baths, more reading, more. I have in recent weeks, hey, let's turn off these notifications. I've never had the sound on my phone ever. I'm just one of those people, because it's always beep, 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 beep. Nope. So finding time to unplug, establishing a good sleep routine. My students do know what my hours are. After those hours, I'm not available until the next business day. Like establishing those type things to keep yourself sane so you can fill yourself up to pour out and give into others is what I've been doing. I'm trying to get Shironda to do the same thing, but she's just go.
I mean, yeah. So I guess one thing that I can say I do, I love to bake, and that's very cathartic for me. And so, and I'm good at it. And so not only do I love to bake, but, I'll post stuff on social media and people are saying, oh, I want to buy this. And so people have started buying what I bake. So I'm not baking a dozen strawberry vanilla cupcakes with strawberry frosting that I eat by myself. So I've been doing a lot of baking, a significant amount of baking, like dozens and dozens of cupcakes and muffins, and people just contact me and say, hey, I want to buy this. And I said, okay, fine. And so I guess it was kind of like my side business, maybe, I don't know, but I just, it's something that, once we sell CauseEDU, I will start my little cupcake business. But yeah, that's what I'm doing right now to really, for self-care. That's what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah. You know what, I like you guys where I'm taking care of everyone else, and I think you have to do a seminar on how do we take care of ourselves, because I have international clients, so I get up really early and I'm on till probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is everyone's like, oh, you're fine. I go, but at 2 o'clock, then I'm just catching up on emails. So because of so much that's going on in the world, my sleep pattern is off. And so I find myself getting up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't like tossing and turning. So I make pies at 3 o'clock in the morning. So with you, we're chopping up those little things and just like, I'm like, rhubarb is in season. So I made a strawberry apple rhubarb pie.
Yes.
And I was like calculating, how do I mix these 2 recipes, calculating, and I don't even know how it turned out. It was so good that I'm like, it's hurting me not to eat 2 or 3 pieces at the same time, because it turned out so good. I can't remember how to do it because I was like calculating, and like 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, all right, how do you do this fine tuning? But I'm with you. We're trying to find other things to do to calm the noise. And I agree with my phone doesn't ring. Like, it's on during a certain time, but often I was like, what if there's an emergency? I'm like, I deal with emergencies better when I have a full night. So that's what it is. What would you guys say to someone that is at home right now? They've been working from home. They're so content. And they're like, you know what? I've been thinking about starting my own business for quite some time. I love that paycheck though. I love that job that provides me that paycheck. But I think it's time. I'm working at home. I love being with family or being by myself. And my idea, it's time. It's time to create my idea. What would you say to someone that is ready to make that leap and start a company?
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah. And and if you have to find someone to help you, someone to partner with, do that. When I called Aneesah and she just said, okay, it was like, oh, let's start a business. But I've started other businesses that have failed, and that's okay. I would not have known that they were going to fail. You can plan as much as you want, you can think and dream as much as you want, you won't know until you do it. And so, I would say just absolutely go for it. If you don't feel comfortable leaving your day job, then stay at your day job. Take vacation days when you need to, vacation hours if you need to say, okay, for these next 2 weeks, I'm going to work part-time and use vacation hours to cover the rest while I work on this business. Or if you have to take 4 or 5 days to just work on it, take vacation time to do that, but definitely just go for it. You don't want to keep thinking about it and thinking about it for years and years when you could have moved on it.
And then you have so much time to actually work on it too. I mean, I'm not saying I want anybody to not work when they're supposed to be working on their other jobs, but yeah, I mean, in the evenings, you can't go out, you can't go anywhere. Go ahead and start looking on those websites. So Small Business Association, and then there's so many resources now for small businesses. So now is a good time to kind of jump out there. People are just offering stuff because of what's going on. So take advantage of it, do it.
Yes.
If you were, think about the world opens tomorrow. In a perfect world, the world opens tomorrow. We go into normal. What does your first day look like?
If the world opens tomorrow, that's hard to answer. And I say that because we're doing things now. We're reaching out, we're trying to secure partnerships, we're working with families. So I would say if I knew in advance that the world was going to open tomorrow, our first day with CauseEDU would be doing something in person for families. Online is great. It's great in terms of having access for more families, but the reality is there are still families that are not online. And so they've been missing out on these types of resources for the past 3 months. And so I would say that having something for families in person would be day one.
Yes, I think people are missing, that's one thing we've learned. Even I'm a homebody, people miss that human interaction. So yeah, having an in-person, how you doing? And in this perfect world, right, Ms. Charles, we can touch each other, a hug, how you doing? Welcome to CauseEDU. Come on in, have a seat. Here's some snacks. We're going to show you how. They want that. And especially with the demographic that we like to deal with or we like to assist, yes, they want to be able to touch you, talk to you, ask questions and all that good stuff. So that would be ideal.
I think one thing that people have really missed out on or really just didn't think about, especially as we all transitioned online and even as schools, I used to work in the school system. So even as schools were transitioning online in March and they're saying, oh, well, we're giving families laptop and these companies or Chromebooks and these companies are giving families free internet access. That's all fine and good, but the reality is some families still don't know how to use it. And so while we had an online platform already, we actually launched in March. So, and we launched the day that schools started announcing they were shutting down and sending students home. So it was like, great, now it's a pandemic. But the reality is, even with families having these laptops and with them having internet access, there is still an issue of access. There are still families that do not have access to the online tools that we offer, and we need to do something in person for them.
I think that was one of my biggest concerns when I saw that happening. I'm like, I go, you know what? I mean, if you have a laptop for the first time in your home and you have free Wi-Fi, school is the last thing I'm going to do. It's the last thing I'm going to do. Things I could download. I could do so many things that I wasn't able to do in my room, in my apartment. So yeah, school's not there. And I mean, we're seeing it over and over again where a lot of students have checked out. I mean, in the town that I live in, the beaches are packed with kids. And I'm like, I know school's not over yet. Like what's happening here? Because they had the option of pass fail. And the kids that are still inside, they're like, oh, I'm right on that edge of like that fail. So I have to be there. But everyone else, like, I have a pass. So I'm just going to take it and I'm not showing up. And the number of kids that I was signing on, I had a friend that's a teacher where she had a nervous breakdown on social media because she's a French teacher and she's like 2, 3, 4 days in a row, no students. No one checked in. She was like full on, her kids great, so none of them signed on. And she was devastated because she loves to teach. Devastated.
Yeah.
I always love asking this question and I really don't ask, like I don't ask people in advance just because I don't want you to think about it. But I do love asking this question. If you had that personal and professional ask, what would be that personal and professional ask that you would ask anyone that's watching right now?
If you're a parent, if you're a student, my ask of you would be, don't do this alone. Don't feel like you have to do this alone. Don't feel like, oh, you've got it. There are people like us who know how to help you. Even if you think that you have found the perfect school or you found the resources, we can help you with more. So don't feel like you have to do it alone. That's my ask.
Wait, was that your professional or your personal?
That was, I would say, professional for the families, for the students, for the parents. My personal ask, that is a good question. Let's go to Aneesah with professional and then come back to personal.
Okay.
Eating a little bit.
My personal ask is that we all extend grace right now. We're all going through something. I've heard that numerous times with my students. I even brought this up to my students. I mean, a lot of us are happy that we're at home, working from home. We're still getting paid. Home is not good for a lot of people. Think about it. People went to work to escape home or went to school to escape home and whatever was going on at home. So everybody's going through something right now. I'm just asking, that's my ask, just extend grace, maybe even sprinkle some kindness in there. We're all going through stuff. We all had stuff going on before the pandemic that's still going. Just extend grace. That's my personal ask. Professional ask, please use this time. I know it's a lot going on. You don't want to be plugged in and I don't want to do anything else online, but use this time to utilize all the information and resources that are available to you, resources and information like CauseEDU, so that when we do get to go back outside and play, you'll be better prepared for whatever throws at you on this educational landscape. Those are my facts. Shironda, your personal now.
Okay. So my personal ask, thank you for that. My personal ask would be for anyone who, actually really for everyone, to find at least one person who you know does not have internet access, who is not plugged in, and reach out to them and check on them. Because the reality is, if you're stuck at home and you don't have a computer or you don't have internet access, you probably have no access to the outside world and to nobody. And so you can't go online and order groceries from Instacart if you don't have internet access. You can't go and Zoom. I know we complain about, oh, we have so many Zoom meetings. There are people who don't see other people at all. So I would say my personal ask is to check on people that don't have that access and who are just, sitting at home and either don't have what they need or are just lonely and missing human interaction. Just call them up and check on them.
Beautiful. You know what, I lied because I do have one more question.
Okay.
I was like, as I said, I'm like, oh, I have to ask this one, which is the low-hanging fruit question. What do you think, what will happen to the educational higher ed institutions? What happens to the industry now? With everything that's going on, what is going to happen to your industry that you are fully in? And education is the key to so much success. Education, education, education in every single form, education. What happens now? What do you think will happen now?
I think a lot of things will happen. I think schools that were already struggling financially will close for the most part. If you were already on some sort of, probation with your accrediting body because of finances, you're probably, with COVID, especially with this past spring and having to give money back to students who lived on campus, that's millions of dollars that were not anticipated. With having shortages in terms of students, attending for this fall, I think a lot of schools are going to close or merge, and we're already starting to see that. I think that's one main thing that's going to happen in the education sector. I think another thing is students are realizing that they don't like learning online, a lot of students. And so it's easy to say that the future of education is, online and it's so easy to say that things are going to transition online, but we see now that is actually not the case for a lot of students. Students who grew up with the internet are saying we don't like online learning. And so I think that's going to cause some schools to kind of reevaluate where they see the future of education going. So I think that's another thing. I think that there are going to be a lot of students who try to wait out this year, who are going to regret it later, to be honest. I think that there's going to be a lot of tightening of the belts for a lot of schools, because the financial impact of what's happening right now is not going to just be this year and next year. It's going to be very long term for a lot of schools. And so I think a lot of schools are really going to be struggling to figure out, what does that mean? Are we laying off faculty in the fall? What does that mean for how we streamline our offerings to make sure that we can accommodate something like this that might happen in the future? Because the reality is COVID is not over. It might have a resurgence in the fall, in the spring, we don't know. And so schools are going to be looking to the future to see how they can better prepare for this type of thing happening again.
Yes, I agree with everything she just said. I'm at a higher education institution, and so it's a big old question mark right now. It's a whole lot of, we don't know yet, we'll see, we'll let you all know, but there are going to be budget cuts. There are going to be furloughs. I thought about this, like even the way the classroom space is going to have to change. So nobody thought about that. Like, so there's going to be, think about it, you got to remodel, as you can say, certain classrooms, but then where you getting them, like all that has to be ironed out. Because I know at some of our classrooms, the chairs are kind of like already nailed into the floor. You got to uproot those 6 feet apart. All that has to happen. How does the dorms look? Even with my TRIO program, our students stay on campus in the summer. We're already looking to see like how we're going to do that. Normally it's 2 in a room or 3 in a room, depending on the dorm. Well, with the social distance, how are we going to do that? We travel with our students on buses, 52 passenger buses. And I already told them before the CDC came out with the guidelines. So we normally go with 3 buses. I said, so now we're going to have 6, which is going to affect our, but like all that has to be ironed out. I've also heard that in one of the local school districts here in Atlanta, no cafeteria, no assemblies. Packaged lunches will be brought to the school, to the classrooms. No outside organization. So then that affects my job right now. Like we might be virtual till whenever, you know what I mean? Like they're saying no external organization. So that even includes us right now, Shironda, like with Cause. Like if we wanted to, we couldn't go into a school and do a presentation. We're outside. We're not essential. All that kind of stuff that everybody's gonna have to start thinking about and being, I just think it's bad, but then the way I think it's gonna show a lot of creativity. We're gonna all have to get a little more creative in how we're gonna offer these services and resources to people. Yeah. I'm positive that we're gonna get through this. Like I tell my students every day, I'm gonna see y'all again face to face, I promise. One day we'll hug, we'll go on a trip or something, but yeah, we're still in the unknown right now, but there'll be.
No, I was going to say a lot. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I was going to say that one of the people that I'm concerned about a lot, and the school that Babson, where I went and got my MBA, a lot of individuals were given the option of early retirement, and I was like, I go, wow. I go, you're giving the option where they can walk away with a good package because it's an option, but I'm concerned about those amazing professors that are not tech savvy, and they have been struggling. And these are the reasons why a lot of students went to the school, because they wanted that professor, and yet that professor is not tech savvy. And so what happens to that individual? Are you the lowest hanging fruit, knowing that you're adding so much value to these schools? But again, being a tech person wasn't it. I was in a classroom. I saw people. I got to teach you, and all that knowledge that I've had and accumulated throughout my years, I'm giving to you, and now I can't. So what happens to those amazing professors?
Yeah. And then the other question too, though, is even in terms of fundraising, you've got all these corporations that are losing billions of dollars. So are they still going to be corporate sponsors for these schools? Are they still going to be contributing to the buildings and all the other things that these schools are trying to do? So when I say it has long-term implications, very long-term. There are corporate sponsors that are filing bankruptcy right now, right? Hertz was a corporate sponsor for somebody's school, and so the reality is the implications are not just the spring and the fall, it's far-reaching. Yeah.
My God, I can sit there and talk to you guys forever and a day, because there's so many things. I'm a former media person. I'm a news junkie. I read. I'm getting all this information. There's just so much going on so fast. And I thank you guys for being in the industry. I thank you guys for creating CauseEDU, which is so needed. On top of that, I'm so happy that I will be able to see you guys virtually during the summer because you guys are involved in Accelerated that it's so close to my heart. So I'm excited to see you guys in that facet as well, because more and more people need to see you, use you, be aware of you, and understand it, because so many people go in full out. I'm so excited. I got the t-shirt. I'm the mom and dad from the school. And then they realize, whoa, that's a large check that I'm writing every single month. And, oh, wait, what are you eating? And, oh, wait, what part are you? There's so many. Oh, wait, you want to go overseas and travel? So there's so much more to this education that most people don't understand, because they're excited that their child got in and they worked really hard and they deserve it. But they really don't understand all the implications. So I'm so happy you guys are around. I'm so excited that you guys were my first interview that I didn't know you. I didn't know you. I'm so happy. So thank you very much, ladies. And I look forward to talking to you guys. Literally, I'm going to come back and talk to everyone that I've spoken to. I want to talk to you at the end of the year, because I want to see, we're going to do a recheck up to see what happened, and what we're doing to pivot each time something happens. So thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much.